There was, I think, an old joke in crypto Twitter that instead of being your own bank, we shift to owning your own bank. So, once you start playing these adult mainstream games, it's really hard to stop. And now the crypto companies are fighting for the lucrative government contracts. So it's not unexpected. Big boys move big money. So this recent drama is about BitGo, which used to have this nice contract with the U.S. Marshal Service to take care of the crypto the Marshal seized from some criminals. And the contract was $4.5 million for 6 years. But earlier this month, BitGo was disqualified because the contract was for the small business, and BitGo is not that small anymore. So Anchorage, it's a smaller competitor, got the deal, and it's an even larger contract, $6.6 million for 5 years. So it's just, for me, it's like really an interesting shift in narrative that we are watching. I mean, over years, it's not new, but, it used to be like, be your own bank. We don't care about mainstream finance. We don't want government in our businesses. Now it's all about regulation, getting the government funding or money or whatever, and playing nice with whatever regulators do. Like, I'm just curious, what do you guys think?
Seems like some sabotage in there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I like the aspect of this story where it was companies not playing nice with each other, right? So they were discovered as being too big for this particular contract after a competitor pointed out that fact to the government. So there's definitely like a little bit of snitch vibes going on here, which I think is really interesting and speaks to how these choice assignments are coveted by certain companies in the space. So that to me stood out as being really interesting about the crypto custody world, which some people think is boring, but it's actually quite interesting in my opinion. I'll throw this to Will. I saw your hand go up, and then we'll toss it to Naomi.
Yeah, I think Anna was hitting on a really interesting topic there, which is like the foundations of cryptocurrency are very anti-government, just like going back to Satoshi in the first early years of crypto and Bitcoin. But then a decade later, we see this large swing in the industry towards supporting government uses of this technology, which in my mind's eye is just kind of like the inevitable path of all these things to happen. And at least we have the technology now from the beginning of Bitcoin and crypto to be able to hold that money without, you don't need a bank with crypto, you don't need a bank with Bitcoin, you can be your own custodian, you don't need to use those traditional services. But it is interesting to see like that just bifurcation, I guess, in industry. Like we had, I think it was TaxBit signed like $100 million deal with the IRS to be doing tax work for them on crypto accounts. Then you have Chainalysis is always signing new deals, whether it be with like the New York City Police Department or with larger boys like the FBI. And there's all of these, you can look these deals, they happen all the time. And it's very much against the ethos of Bitcoin, but it's not surprising that that's how the industry works. So it's not surprising to me to see like these battles between custodians to be able to hold the crypto that the government is going to find. I don't like it, but it's just like how the industry is going to evolve.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting
Naomi,
that they mentioned, that BitGo was the first choice, but it was protested by competitors. Was Anchorage the competitor there? Just a question in my mind. But the other thing is why is the government intent on having a small company do this? Like, what's their rationale behind that? Like that they're very specific. It has to be a small one. Like, what difference does it make to them? I'm wondering if maybe, David, you have any thoughts on that rationale?
I'm sure it's just procurement rules.
Procurement rules.
Yeah,
that's
sure
the dreaded
rules.
procurement policy. Procurement as a word is just...
Yeah, I mean, they're pursuing a policy agenda that's pro small business, and so they think that's how this is going to work.
Yeah.
I would actually, I wanted to push back briefly on Will's argument that this is counter to the ethos of crypto, which, especially when it comes to Bitcoin, I would say that the ethos is you can use it for whatever you want and in whatever way you want, and that doesn't undermine the underlying system. So I think one of the things to keep in mind with all of this government regulation stuff is that it does just represent different things that are all happening on the same network, right? I mean, all the government oversight and activity, sure, but it's not going to interfere with the basic operation of something like Bitcoin. And in some sense, it's like even if it's hostile activity, it doesn't, hurt the underlying system. And that's kind of the bigger ethos, maybe, I would say.
No, I think there's some fairness to that argument as well. I think that in general, if you look at some of the early writings of Bitcoiners, that they would say like this is anti-government technology, and then seeing it being adapted by those government entities they were against, it makes sense that it would happen. But those early Bitcoiners would be staunchly against this, I think. And that's why you see firms like Chainalysis being dragged through the coals by crypto Twitter and Bitcoiners in general. But definitely agree with you there.
Yeah.
Well,
Which is also why some Bitcoiners are... I was just going to say, it's why some Bitcoiners are objecting to lobbying efforts on the infrastructure bill, too, for exactly that reason.